what did you decide to do today to get your team ready for Thursday? Was it a walkthrough or more of a practice? What did you do today?
No, it was a walkthrough. We walked through yesterday, we walked through today. Just trying to get them the plan as quickly as possible to allow them. I mean, there's a lot of information going at them. That's always the challenge, right, on a Thursday night game. So we try to get them the information as quickly as possible and give them time to digest it, to go through it, to get to the detail. And so our guys did a nice job today locking in.
Matt, is it any different, easier, harder, or whatever, that it's a Thursday game so early in the year versus later in the year, or not really?
I think they all have their challenges. I think a lot of it is just, are you hurt by injuries? That's a big deal on these Thursday night games. How many guys do you have out? But, you know, we had a plan for just our preparation and our process in regards to how we were going to game plan, and we were able to jump ahead a little bit throughout training camp. And then, you know, obviously you take into account week one, but it's still limited film, and just make some adjustments from there.
Speaking of injuries, obviously you got some issues in the offensive line. Any feel for Banks or Zach at this
Yeah,
point?
we'll see. We'll give them all the way up to game time to see where they're at. Certainly two guys that have a lot of experience, and, you know, so that's not as concerned about them. We're not really, I mean, yeah, we're walking through, but there's no live reps this week. So, yeah, we'll just see where we're at.
Nothing long-term, though, even if they can't go this
Yeah,
week?
nothing long-term.
What do you think of the rotation with Ryan and Morgan?
Yeah, I thought those guys did a nice job. Both went in, and, you know, that's the, I guess it's a good problem to have when you feel like you got multiple guys that are worthy of being out there and playing. So that's something that we'll keep on. You know, it could change week to week, but it'll be a competitive situation throughout the course of the season.
Not every team in the league strives to have that complementary football. Some do it better than others. When you have this situation where you have the type of belief that you have in your defense, does that change anything for you, whether it's being more aggressive, less aggressive, offensively, knowing that your defense is got that complementary piece?
Yeah, I think it's game to game. I think it's circumstantial, I would say, just depending upon who you're playing. The flow of the game certainly plays a big part in the decision-making process of how aggressive you want to be. But you always go in with a certain, I guess, mindset or mentality of how you think you need to win the game. And then you just kind of adjust from there.
We saw, obviously, Adrian Cooper's 12 tackles take place, but as you look back on his game from Sunday, what did you see from him specifically?
Yeah, I thought he did a lot of great things, and I loved, all in all, just the entire defense, the urgency of which we played with. I feel like it's the best I've seen from our group since I've been here. So that is, it was inspiring to me to watch those guys go out and play. And I think when you get like that, it's contagious, and everybody kind of elevates their game. And so that's exactly what we need each and every week. And we got a hell of a challenge this week against, in my opinion, one of the top offenses in the game. I mean, they got a ton of weapons with McLaurin, Debo, Zach Ertz, obviously Jaden Daniels. There's nothing he can't do. So then you got guys like Eckler, and I mean, they just got a lot of players that they can get the ball to. So it's going to be a great challenge for our defense.
Play style you mentioned, is that emphasized, prioritized throughout the entire offseason, or where does that kind of come from?
Yeah, absolutely. It starts day one, first meeting of OTAs, of what is our identity going to be. And so, yeah, it's heavily emphasized.
What did Dan Quinn mean for your coaching career?
Oh, man, I can't even. It was invaluable to me. Like, I'm pretty certain I wouldn't be standing right here right now if it weren't for being with DQ for those 2 years in Atlanta, and just changed my whole mindset in regards to just how much fun you can have within the building, yet still get down to business. And I mean, it should be fun. I mean, we're coaching ball. These guys are playing ball, and it was a great environment. And I thought it was a true brotherhood that we had, and that's something that we certainly try to instill here as well.
Why did you guys decide to bring back the captains, and what do you think of the 7 guys, the players elected?
Yeah, I thought, first of all, we formed a leadership committee, and I told those guys, I feel like these are our captains, but those guys wanted to vote for it, and there's got to be a cutoff point at some point, but I certainly think those guys are worthy of that recognition. They've all done the little things and holding the high standard, and I told them that the eyes are always going to be on them, and there's no off switch, both in the building and out of the building. So you got to be on point all the time. You guys got to set the standard and uphold the standard from everybody else. But I also think there's a lot of other guys, just because they're not quote unquote captains, that aren't great leaders on our football team.
Matt, how would you describe the added challenge of the pass rush going against a quarterback like this versus a guy like Goff last week?
Yeah, this guy, you got to be super disciplined in your approach, because if you give him an edge or give him a gap up front, he can take off. And I mean, there's too much evidence over the course of all the last season, and then obviously one game this year, of just him beating people with his legs. And he's a guy that's not necessarily going to just go out, get what he can, get down and slide. He might continue on and go. So he presents a real challenge for our defense.
That the way you split the reps or snaps with your wide receivers, is that sustainable? Or, as the season goes on, do you have to play a guy who's getting hotter, more snaps?
Yeah, we'll see. I think it's game to game. A lot of it's just how guys are feeling. Sometimes it could be like this last game, we went in with the mindset of less 11 personnel, and we were going to do more 12 and 21, and you saw some of the two-back stuff that we were doing. So it could be week to week. I would say with some of the guys that hadn't practiced, we were trying to keep them within a range of a certain number of snap counts.
From an offensive play calling perspective, what's the challenge when you face guys like Micah or Lucas, who maybe they'll be an end one play, maybe they'll be a tackle, and that's you're just never quite sure where you're going to find them?
Well, you just said the answer.
Well, I don't know what it means for you, though. I mean, what's the challenge as far as preparing for that? Or is it
Well, because if you don't know where somebody's going to line up, if you know that somebody's always going to line up on the right side at defensive end, well, we can do things to try to eliminate them as much as possible, whether it's always putting a tight end or receiver or back or somebody there to chip them on the way out, or always sliding your protection that way. It gets more challenging when you start moving people around, and now we got to ID and find them, and then it's just all the complements off that. A lot of it is just what type of front structures are you getting in, whether it's you're getting into 5 down looks. Now it's a little bit harder to slide your line to a certain guy. So I would say there's a lot of layers to your question.
Do you think the Parsons effect, beyond just his production or just beyond what he influences other guys being able to do, just the excitement it's created in your locker room, is that real? Can you feel that?
Yeah, I think so. I also think we just talked about style of play, and just watching him run to the football. I thought that was pretty special and pretty inspiring as well, both in the run game and in the pass game.
Were you similarly inspired by your running backs picking up blitzes the way they did?
That was the best that I've seen in my time here. So those guys saved a lot of plays. They did a great job, because I think Detroit does a really good job of getting into the gaps and just getting penetration. So you got to get on those guys quickly, and they cause you. There are a couple times when we have to pass it off between the guard and the halfback, and now the halfback's on a 3 technique, which isn't always great, but our guys did a really good job. And it's going to be the same thing this week. When you look at Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu, those guys are hard to block. And I think, Washington does a really nice job of running a lot of different pick games and stunts and putting their backers on your backs and sometimes not the best situations. So we've got a work cut out for us.
Did you think your line was really in sync in terms of picking those type of things up, stunts, not over, pursuing or overreacting?
Yeah, I thought our pass protection was really solid last week, and I think we got another, like I said, another great challenge in front of us.
You guys put so much emphasis into each opponent each week, 1-0 each week. From a human nature standpoint, when you're opening against division rival, when you have the Commanders now coming in and you know they're fresh off an NFC Championship game, does it heighten anything in terms of urgency when the opponent kind of speaks for themselves?
I mean, from a coach's standpoint, I would say no, but I don't know about from the players. I think you'd have to ask those guys. I'm sure there's some natural effects of that when you have a really good football team coming in here and we have a primetime game, Thursday night football, short week, that automatically ups the level of urgency in regards to just getting not only your body right, but your mind to go play ball against a really quality opponent. So I think all it's just a cumulative effect.
Jordan mentioned that you guys got an early start, at least in the game, scoring early, and it not necessarily dwindled out, but it wasn't as complete of a game as he would have wanted it to be. After watching film, what went into that, what was behind that, and how do you make sure that it's a more complete game on Thursday?
Well, I think there was a couple situations where certainly before the end of the half, we didn't want to have to punt the ball back. We get a short yardage situation, and we tried that little trick play, if you will, that didn't look so tricky. It didn't look so good, but we allowed too much penetration in the backfield and couldn't get our runner going. And then we had a couple other short yardage situations where we didn't convert, and I think that leads to just the desire to want more. I mean, we go out there, we have a 3rd and 1, and we got stuff for like I don't know what we lost on the play, but yeah, there's definitely room for improvement, I would say.